Do you really need to change up your Genie Plus strategy when you've got a large group here at Walt Disney World? The answer to that is definitely yes. We're here today on Memorial Day weekend to show you the best tips to still get everything done in this park, even if you've got a large group of folks with you. Let's go do it. Hi, hello everybody, this is Rob with Ear Scouts. We are here at the Magic Kingdom on Memorial Day weekend with a pretty big family. There are 5 members of the bird family, plus when I add in Eric and I, that means we are currently a party of 7. We can already see right off the bat that we're having a much harder time even getting our first lightning lane of the day. We started with Peter Pan's flight. Right now, unfortunately though, we don't have it until around 10:25. That means we've got a little bit of time to kill before we can even tap in there. Thankfully, we did get boarding group number 2 over at Tron, so I'm gonna head over that way now. I'm gonna keep playing those Disney Genie slots. If you're not familiar with that term, stay tuned, I'll explain it all a little bit later. But in the course of this video, we're gonna show you how using Disney Genie Plus changes from a group of 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, all the way up to a party of 7 or more. We're even gonna have some other friends join us later today to make an even bigger party and see how that shakes things up later tonight. It's gonna be a super fun video. We got a lot to do, so let's get going. Well, that was a nice shot of adrenaline to start our morning. Honestly, Tron is almost as good as a cup of coffee first thing in the morning for waking you up. I definitely recommend, if it's possible to do Tron first thing, it's great to cross that off your list. Even when you're using a virtual queue, the longer you wait during the day, the longer that virtual queue line tends to build up. Now, with the virtual queue, it always fluctuates a little bit, so you never really know, but as a general rule, the earlier, the better. Of course, that also depends on you having an early boarding group. Thankfully, this morning we had 2, so we took advantage of that and had a shorter wait. Where we've not been as successful is with Disney Genie Plus. I've been trying to back up Peter Pan's flight all morning. I have not had any luck, so we're still at that initial 10:25 time that we started with. If you watched a lot of my videos, you know 10:25 is a pretty late first return time, and the difference is we're in a larger party, we're here on a busy day. This is Memorial Day weekend. This morning, I did a little experiment. I started with a party of 1, and I looked to see what return times were for the different rides. Then, on Eric's phone, I made a party of 2, and I refreshed at exactly the same moment to see if those return times changed for a party of 2 versus 1. I continue to do this, building up our party. Now, when we did this in a previous video last year, you may have seen that, we found that 4 was the magic number. If you were 4 or less, you saw the exact same return times. But today, I actually didn't see different return times until we hit a party of 6. So from 1 to 5, I saw the same return times every time I refreshed. But once we got to a party of 6, that was when I saw those return times jump up. And that explains why we've not been able to back Peter Pan up. We're a party of 7. If we had been booked as a party of 5 or less, probably we could have gotten it a little bit earlier. In case you're wondering what I mean by back this up, this is what I like to call in my other videos, playing the Disney Genie slots. It's really easy to do. Once you book any lightning lane, just tap on the 3 little dots you'll see on that lightning lane. A menu's gonna pop up and you're gonna choose Modify Plan. So now you're gonna see a view that's kind of like the tip board screen, only now that ride that you have booked is pinned to the top. You're gonna see the time you have it booked for. Below that is the time you could book it for right now. And if you were to scroll down, you'd see a bunch of other rides you could book instead. In order to play those Disney Genie slots, it's just like spinning the reels on a slot machine. You're gonna take your finger, slide it down the screen, and that's gonna refresh the view. It's gonna look for better times. In our case, we were not successful this morning. We were not able to get anything better, but hopefully as the day goes on, we're gonna be able to get some better times. I'm also gonna keep repeating that experiment that I did this morning. So I'm gonna keep adjusting my group size and seeing how that affects the Lightning Lane return times that show up. Is 5 gonna be the magic number all day, or is it gonna be even tougher later today where we'll need an even smaller group to get those great return times? There's only one way to find out, and that is to experiment, play those Disney Genie slots. But in order to do that, we've got to tap in at our first ride, Peter Pan's Flight. So let's go do that right now. First ride of the day is checked off the list. Peter Pan's Flight, which is one of the biggest rides in this park, is now done. As soon as we tapped in there, I went ahead and started booking our next Lightning Lane. Keep in mind, you can always book your next Lightning Lane either after you tap in at the most recent Lightning Lane that you've booked, or when that most recent Lightning Lane that you booked expires, or you have to wait 2 hours from the time you booked that most recent Lightning Lane. Our goal today is going to be to avoid that 2-hour rule as much as we possibly can, because if you think about it, every time we tap in a ride and book something else, if we're able to do that in less than 2 hours, we're saving time. We're able to pack more rides in to the same amount of time. So that's always going to be our goal today. The other thing that's going to be really important for us is keeping an eye on those key attractions. Now, these are either the rides that are must-dos for you and your group. In this case, our family loves Haunted Mansion, so that one's going on the must-do list. But the other rides you're going to want to keep an eye on are the ones you expect to run out of Lightning Lanes soonest in the day. There's actually a really easy way to check what those rides are going to be the day that you're here. Just scroll down the list of Genie Plus return times. The ones that are showing the latest return times at that moment are likely the ones that are going to run out first. One really interesting thing that I noticed here, most of those rides that are showing up later are the usual suspects, things like Space Mountain, Jungle Cruise, Big Thunder Mountain. However, look at Peter Pan's Flight. That return time is already showing way later than all of the others, and that's actually unusual. When you're here with a smaller party, usually Peter Pan's Flight and Jungle Cruise are kind of at the same level. So it's interesting to see that when you get a larger group, Peter Pan's Flight definitely becomes harder to book. So it's a really good thing we cross that off of our list first. If that's a must-do for you, I'd recommend you do the same if you're here with a large group. I want to show you really quickly an easy way that you can pin those rides that you want to keep an eye on to the top of your tipboard screen. All you're going to do is go to that tipboard screen and you're going to tap on Edit Selections. From there, you're going to get a menu of rides. Just check the ones that you want to have pinned to the top. I don't recommend having more than 3, 4, max 5 of these just because it gets really cluttered at the top. But certainly you want to have the ones that you're concerned about running out of Lightning Lanes, because that way, as the day goes on, you're always keeping an eye on those rides. You're always seeing if they're about to slip away, because if they are, you're probably going to want to change gears and go ahead and grab it. In our case, though, all of our rides still look good. I was able to get a decent return time over here for Haunted Mansion, so I'm going to go ahead and keep trying to back that up. That's going to be the perfect next ride for us because it's right here near Peter Pan's Flight. We don't have to do a lot of crisscrossing, and it's their most important ride. So we're going to make sure that we get that one crossed off the list. And Haunted Mansion just gave us our first win of the day with the Disney Genie slots. We were able to back the time up to 11:05. And since you have a 5-minute grace period at the beginning of your Lightning Lane and a 20-minute grace period at the end, that means we can actually tap in right now. Well, that was pretty cool. There was a ghost that got scared away when they added the Hatbox Ghost. I don't know if you remember, but there was like a ghoulie who would carry the candelabra down the hallway. You couldn't see him, but you could see the floating candelabra. He's been gone for a long time, and today I noticed he's back. So welcome back, Candelabra Ghost. And I also have some other good news to report. We chatted with the family and we asked what we really wanted to do next if we couldn't get one of those big rides, and everyone agreed Pirates of the Caribbean was the thing that they wanted to do next. So we were able to get a decent time for that, and pretty quickly I played those Disney Genie slots and I was able to back that one up. You're gonna see in this video, rides that are not in that very top tier are much easier to get better times for playing the Genie slots, even with a large group. Unfortunately, Pirates is down right now, and the other thing that's unfortunate is we seem to have run into a Disney Genie gremlin. So what's supposed to happen when you have a lightning lane booked and that attraction goes down? That lightning lane is supposed to turn into an experience redemption, what I like to call a bonus lightning lane. Essentially, it's a lightning lane you can use on a whole bunch of different attractions, and you don't have to schedule it or anything. You can just tap in. So you essentially get that instead of the lightning lane that you had booked. Unfortunately, ours did not turn into a bonus, and I talked to the cast members at the entrance, and they have no idea why. So anytime this happens to you, or you experience a different Disney Genie gremlin, you want to head to guest relations, or you want to head to one of those blue umbrellas that are around the parks. Those folks can help you with any problems you have with Disney Genie Plus. So I went to chat with the folks at guest relations. They helped us out. They turned that lightning lane for Pirates into a bonus lightning lane that we can use at a bunch of different rides. Whenever you have one of these bonuses, I recommend be strategic about how you use it. We could use it at Pirates of the Caribbean when it opens back up. However, that ride's going to be pretty easy to book later today. Now, you can't unfortunately use it on the most popular rides. So Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan's Flight, rides like that you can't do. However, Big Thunder Mountain is a ride that we can do. So we're gonna cross this one off of our list because this one would be a lot harder to book. In the end, it actually worked out great for us that Pirates of the Caribbean was down, because now we're gonna get to cross Big Thunder off the list, and then it'll be easy to book Pirates of the Caribbean later today. And with that ride on a runaway mine train, we only have two tough to book rides left. That's Space Mountain and Jungle Cruise. What I did right now, because those are both showing really late return times, I went ahead and booked what I like to call a right now ride. That's something that's relatively close to you, that everybody wants to do, that you can get a lightning lane for right now. So what you do, you go ahead and book that, start making your way over to that attraction, and just see if maybe you can turn it into one of those bigger rides with a decent time. In this way, you've got something to do, you're not wasting any of your park time, but you're also still playing those slots, trying to get something better. In this case, we booked Magic Carpets of Aladdin. We were able to get that for right then. And then I went ahead and I made sure I edited my selections, and I just had those two rides we're keeping an eye on, Jungle Cruise and Space Mountain. So those are pinned to the top there. Once you're in that modify view we talked about, I'm gonna show you a little trick. Since we don't care about moving up that first time, we don't really even want to see that when we refresh. Go ahead and tap on that first ride in your list below, in our case Jungle Cruise, tap back out, and then refresh and look at what happens. It jumps down to that ride. So now we can easily see each time we refresh what the times look like for the two rides we care about, Space Mountain and Jungle Cruise. We did see one pretty good time for Space Mountain pop up while we were playing the slots, but we decided to let it go because it was still about an hour away. What we're gonna do right now though is do our right now ride, Magic Carpets of Aladdin, and I think after that, it might be time for lunch. But for now, let's head to Agrabah. I headed over here to Pecos Bill's because I like Pecos Bill's for a healthy meal. Had a chicken strawberry salad and some pinto beans. It's nice to be able to get some vegetables in when you're here at Magic Kingdom, and Pecos Bill's is one of the rare places for quick service where you can do that. The other thing I did, as soon as we got off those Magic Carpets, I booked our next Lightning Lane. Now, I knew that we were all going to be taking a moment for lunch, so we weren't going to be riding something right away. That made this the perfect time for us to use that 2-hour rule. So remember, you can book your next Lightning Lane either after tapping in at the most recent Lightning Lane you've booked, or by waiting 2 hours. Whenever you know you're gonna have some downtime, like you're gonna go get some lunch, or maybe you're gonna go see a show or head back to the hotel, whatever it may be, that's the perfect time to just book one of those tough rides that you're really worried about being able to book. In our case, that was definitely Jungle Cruise. Get that one in the bag, and then while you're doing those other things, that 2-hour clock is counting down. So what I did during that 2-hour downtime, I did some more experiments like the ones I did this morning. What I found was that from a party of 1 to a party of 2 to 3 to 4, all of those parties had the exact same return times. When I saw a difference, just like in the last video we did like this, was when we hit that party of 5. Once we hit 5, I started to see much later return times for key rides. Now, most of the rides were still the same, but these attractions started to change once we hit a party of 5. When I went from 5 to 6, I didn't see a change. It was still just like a party of 5. Same with 6 to 7. Now, later tonight, we're gonna have some more friends joining us, so we're gonna be able to try even larger parties and see if that makes a difference. One question we do get asked a lot when we talk about changing up the members of your party, people are like, how does Disney Genie Plus know how big your party is? How do you choose the members of your party? You actually do it in the morning when you set up the free Disney Genie service. If you don't set up that free Disney Genie service, it's not going to let you pin those rides to the top of your tipboard screen. The way you do it, you head over to the My Day tab, and you're going to see a button there that says Get Started Now. When you tap on that button, it's going to ask you what day it is, what park you're going to, and then it's going to ask you what members of your party you want included. This is where you set the preferences for Disney Genie Plus. This is the group of people it's going to be searching for Lightning Lanes for. So it's important whenever you're booking a Lightning Lane, if you want to make your party as small as possible, go ahead and remove anyone from this list that doesn't want to ride. So let's say you have a party of 5 and you know you've got at least one little one who doesn't want to ride something like Space Mountain. Before you try to book that, go into that My Day view, and once you've set this up, you're going to see a button there that says Edit My Selections. This is different from Edit Selections on the tipboard screen. On the tipboard, it just lets you choose which rides to pin to the top. Over at the My Day view, that Edit My Selections button is going to let you choose everything, including the members of your party. So here on that screen, deselect the folks that don't want to ride. Get yourself down to that magic number 4, and then you're gonna have a much better time booking that ride. The good news is we only have one more of those big tough to book rides left. That is Space Mountain. We do have a little bit longer to wait before we can book our next Lightning Lane using the 2-hour rule. What I recommend doing now, enjoy some of the attractions that don't use Disney Genie Plus. In fact, you don't need to book every single ride with Genie Plus. If you see a short wait on something you want to do, jump in that standby queue, and that's one less ride you're going to have to bother with booking. In our case, though, we are going to try to book every single ride in this park mainly just to show that we can do it even with a large group. But if you're here, save yourself the trouble, just getting a few standby queues now and again. We all found ourselves over here in Tomorrowland after sauntering around the park, so we decided we would focus here next. The thing at this point I want to keep an eye on, though, are what I like to call the mid-tier rides. These are rides that I'm not necessarily worried about them running out. I'm more worried that they're going to have a little bit later return time showing up and be harder to fit into our plan. So I'm going to keep those pinned to the top. We're going to ride some right now rides so we can keep going. But we're going to keep an eye on those mid-tiers and see if we can land a good one along the way. I love it when you're on Tomorrowland Speedway and your friends are in the car like opposite you, so you actually get to race each other. As soon as we tapped in, I grabbed the time for Buzz, and then I started playing those Genie slots. Within just a couple of spins of that slot machine, we had a great return time. We can actually tap in right now. So we're gonna do that, and then let's hope our luck continues with the next lightning lane.
Game begin.
Sadly, no Galactic Hero sticker this time. I had a decent score, but definitely not my best. As I took a look at our tipboard screen to see what we should book next, I was really surprised by how late the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is getting. That, combined with the fact that it is blazing hot out here, made me think the best course of action was going to be to just go ahead and book that one. So I have that booked. I'm going to try to back it up, but in the meantime, we're going to get out of this heat and enjoy some shows. That is a great thing to do when you're waiting on return times that aren't quite as quick as you'd like them to be. Shows like Monsters, Inc. Laugh Lore, or even better, Carousel of Progress right behind me, those are great opportunities to get out of the heat, enjoy some fun, entertainment, and pass some time before it's time to tap in at your next lightning lane. With any luck, we'll play those Disney Genie slots and get it moved up even sooner. But for right now, let's go catch a show.
See that giant canister? That's where we collect your laughter. The more you laugh, the more power we collect. The less you laugh, well, we may not have enough power to open the exit door.
Hey, you know me as Buddy Boyle. What you may not know is I have a mind-reading act. Everybody say, ooh, ah! Ooh, ah. Thank you. I'm what they call a telepathetic. I would like you now to pick a number, any number at all. I will read it from your mind. Do you have a number in your head?
Yes.
Okay, tell the audience the number so they'll be amazed when I get it right. I will close my eyes so I can't hear you. Go ahead, Megan. Repeat the sound of mystery. It goes like this. I didn't think you'd actually do that part, Meg. That was great. And it worked. Your number is 7. Let's hear it for Meg. Okay, look at that. We did it. We filled the can.
That show gives a whole new meaning to the term canned laughter. Am I right? Okay, that was pretty terrible. I apologize for that joke. But do you know what is not pretty terrible? We just got a pretty sweet return time for Winnie the Pooh. I played the slots, I backed it up a little bit by a little bit, and then bam, we hit the jackpot. We'll meet you guys over at the 100 Acre Wood and spend some quality time with Winnie the Pooh and the gang. crossed back into Adventureland because I don't know if you remember, but way earlier today, we booked a lightning lane for Jungle Cruise for later in the day. Well, right now it is later in the day, so it's time to go tap in there. Since I knew we were going to be over here, I decided to go ahead and grab our next lightning lane for Pirates of the Caribbean. That was one of those mid-tier rides I wanted to check off the list. I actually had really great luck. It started out pretty bad. It was a pretty terrible return time for Pirates of the Caribbean, but I just kept playing those slots, backing it up 5 minutes, another 5 minutes, another 5 minutes. Since I knew I only wanted this one ride, I used a strategy that I find very helpful. Instead of doing that thing where you're gonna slide your finger down the screen to refresh, another thing you can do is just tap on the time that's showing for the ride that you're trying to get. What you'll sometimes see is that in the time it took you to tap in, someone else grabbed that other time or a different time became available, so you might see a different time on that second screen. Essentially, this is like your refresh. But the good news is, if you like the time you see on the screen, you're done. You don't have to tap in again. You've already done the tap. So I love this method when I'm just focused on one ride, because it means I don't have to risk not getting it by not tapping in fast enough. So all you do, you just go ahead and tap into the time. If you don't like the time that you see, tap back out. Tap in again. Tap back out. You don't need to refresh it all. When you tap in, that is the refresh. We did that for a little while and we actually got the exact time we wanted. It worked out perfectly. So we're gonna go do Jungle Cruise. As soon as we get off Jungle Cruise, we're gonna head right over to do Pirates of the Caribbean next door. I love it when a plan comes together, and this plan has definitely come together.
Wave goodbye to everybody over there.
Bye, everybody over there.
You're never going to see them again.
Yo ho, yo ho, it is now my favorite time in this video. Whenever we do a Genie Plus video, we hit that point where all of the lightning lanes that we have left to book are really easy to grab. The only exception to that, of course, is gonna be Space Mountain. But we're just gonna keep an eye on that one because we're fine doing that late. It really doesn't matter what time you do Space Mountain. It's dark, whether you do it in the middle of the day or the middle of the night. I also have some other exciting news, and that is that our friends, the Zinders, have just zoomed in from Epcot. They've been having a fun day over there, but they heard we were making this video, and they're like, you know what? We can come over to Magic Kingdom and we can join your group. So we're gonna actually add them into the group a little bit later. But right now, we are gonna burn through a ton of lightning lanes. We're headed over to Fantasyland and we're gonna see how quickly we can move through all the lightning lanes we have left over there in its Storybook Circus. Let's go find out. it. We just booked our very last lightning lane of the night. We got Space Mountain. We actually got it for, I think, $9.50 something. The park closes at 11. We could definitely play the Genie slots and probably back that up some more, and we may do that. But for right now, I just want to talk about what we accomplished. We just did every single ride with a Genie Plus lightning lane. Now that we've booked space, we've got that one off the list. It's 8 o'clock, and we did this with a party of 7. As you can see though, once you get those key rides knocked off your list, it becomes really easy. The rest of these rides fall into place even for a really large party. So the key is getting those rides done first. Another thing we should mention, probably as soon after this video comes out, there's going to be a brand new ride here in Magic Kingdom. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to open. That ride, I'm excited to share with you, is going to be part of Disney Genie Plus. It is not going to be an individual attraction lightning lane. So when Tiana and her critter friends dance into town, you definitely want to put them at the top of your dance card as well. Probably you're going to want to make Tiana's your first lightning lane of the day. And then after that, if you're a large party and you want to do Peter Pan, I'd probably make that one your number 2. But we have one last experiment to do. As I mentioned earlier, our friends have arrived at Magic Kingdom. They've joined our group. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go grab some dinner. We're gonna have a glass of wine, and we're gonna do one final round of Genie Plus experiments. We're gonna see, as we increase our group size from 7 to 8 to 9, do we see any differences, or does it pretty much stay the same? That really hit the spot. We just had a delicious meal with our friends, the Zindars family. We actually went to my favorite place to eat in Magic Kingdom, Skipper Canteen. Dinner was delightful, but I think it was the sangria that really hit the spot for me tonight. We did do that final round of testing. We had Eric's phone and my phone right next to each other. On one phone, we had the party of 7 we've been booking all day. And on the other phone, we added in our friends, the Zindars. We actually found that it didn't make any difference. We still saw exactly the same return times, whether it was a party of 7 or 9. So is it possible that when you get to the max, a party of 12, that maybe it does get even more difficult? I'm not sure. If that's something you would like to see in a future video, let us know, and we'll try to get together a larger group of friends to come here to Magic Kingdom and try it out. But I feel pretty good about the results we got today, though. It does seem like for a party of 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're gonna have the same experience, and it seems like for a party of 5 or more, you're gonna have the same experience. Definitely, it's gonna be harder as a party of 5 or more, but it's definitely doable as we showed you today. You're gonna need a lot more patience. You're definitely gonna need to play the slots longer than you would for a smaller party. Also, you're gonna need to make sure that you get those key attractions done early. As we saw, it is definitely doable. I have to give a huge thank you to our friends, the Bird family and the Zindars, for joining us on this crazy adventure. Thank you so much for making this video possible. I also want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon family. Thank you guys for supporting what we do here at Ear Scouts. If you'd like to join them and get access to exclusive bonus content that you can only get on our Patreon community, head on over to patreon.com/earscouts. And finally, I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you to feel a little bit better about coming to Disney World with a huge group and using Disney Genie Plus. If it did, help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing to our channel, and ringing that bell. That way you'll be notified whenever new videos like this come out. For right now though, we're gonna go hop on our last ride of the night, Space Mountain. We will leave you with some footage of that ride, but until next time, don't forget to think happy thoughts, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.